what's up guys? So in today's video, I'll be reviewing Apple's newest smartphone, the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 was released on September 19, and since then it has sold over 10 million units, making it the fastest selling iPhone in history. While using the device, I found myself reflecting back to when Steve Jobs first introduced the iPhone, and how he described the 2.5-inch screen as a really big screen. And I wondered, how would he view the much larger iPhone 6 Plus? I guess what I'm saying is, boy, have times changed. Phones back in the day were smaller, and now they're just getting bigger. Anywho, the iPhone 6 first impressions were striking because of how incredibly thin the device actually is. At 6.9 millimeters thin, seriously, damn, what a thin phone. I honestly think that any thinner and it will become super uncomfortable to hold. As of now, the phone is comfortable, but fairly slippery, so a case is an absolute must with this phone. And no, not because I think the phone might bend, but because it's really slippery, and I highly doubt the phone will survive a drop. In terms of design, I think the device looks beautiful, and it's well made. The aluminum feels great, and it's built solid. The antenna bands on the back don't look as bad as others have made it seem. The protruding camera doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would, although it's important to mention that the phone will rock back and forth if you lay it down on a table. If the protruding camera is something that will bother you, you can always put a case on it and even it out. Overall, the design is simply top-notch, and you're more than certain to pay top dollar for such a high-end phone. In any case, I wanted to discuss the display of the iPhone, which is very good in my opinion. At 1334 by 750, it's an odd resolution, but nevertheless, it's a great display with ridiculous viewing angles and accurate color reproduction. The PPI remains the same at 326 PPI, but despite this, pictures and text still look great. And I fully understand that there are other phones out there that have much higher PPI. But to be honest, the iPhone 6 doesn't look as bad from a PPI standpoint. But what it does dominate are the color reproduction and those viewing angles. They're some of the best in the industry. Again, not in pixels per inch, but in the color reproduction. The screen looks like a sticker because that's how close the display is to the glass. And it gives this really awesome effect. And I have nothing but great things to say about the display. And here's a small sample of those crazy viewing angles. The image quality doesn't degrade when viewing at any angle. The size of the iPhone is an important topic, because it's basically the sole reason why people are upgrading in mass numbers. People wanted a larger iPhone, and now they have it. And in my opinion, it's the perfect size phone. Maybe it could be a little bigger with a little less bezel. The perfect ideal size is very subjective. At 4.7 inches, it will be perfectly sized phone for most people. I will mention that I've held the iPhone 6 Plus, and whoa, that phone is way too big. Seriously borderline tablet status. Definitely a phablet, and I would never use it daily. Way too embarrassing. It's kind of like taking a picture with an iPad. Yeah, embarrassing. I'm just kidding. It's just not for me. In terms of performance, the iPhone 6 offers a decent performance bump. With a 64-bit A8 processor and M8 coprocessor. I also decided not to include performance numbers because those mean nothing. And just take my word for it, this phone is simply fast, but nothing earth-shattering. If you currently have an iPhone 5, you'll be hard-pressed to see any improvement. However, the improvements are there, and the phone is faster. Although I do have to mention that Apple opted out of increasing the RAM, which is still stuck at 1 gig of RAM, which is a bummer. But don't let that discourage you. The operating system does a great job at managing RAM. But Apple, please, the next iPhone needs to have 2 gigs of RAM to be super comfortable and to be future-proof. iOS 8 brings widgets and several other enhancements, but nothing earth-shattering, and no major overhaul like iOS 7. But the new sharing options and widgets are a welcome feature. But I would definitely like to see an option for setting default applications, such as browsers and anything else that you want to use by default. In terms of battery life, the iPhone 6 has an 1810 mAh battery, which is slightly larger than the previous generation iPhone 5S. So the battery life has improved slightly over the iPhone 5S. The screen might have increased, but also has the efficiency of the A8 processor, which has upset this. This phone will get you through the day with no problem. The phone is averaging well over 8 hours of screen on time, and that's very good battery life considering how small the battery actually is relative to the phone size. Again, all of this has to do with the thinness of the phone. So overall, the battery life has been pretty damn good. In terms of the camera, Apple opted to keep the megapixel count the same. At 8 megapixels, it falls behind most other smartphones. But megapixels don't paint the full picture. There's simply too many variables to count for. For instance, although the megapixel count remained the same from the previous generation, Apple has improved the pixel size, which are now at 1.5 microns, and the aperture is now at 2.2. And Apple software is great at reducing noise and several other processes that make the image look great. And new features were also added, such as focus pixels, which is a continuous method of fast autofocus, and it works well. Here's a few samples of some of the images that you can take with the iPhone 6. The detail and colors are simply stunning. The macro pictures look great, and even low light has been greatly improved. There isn't that very much noise in the image, which is great. So overall, I'm very pleased with the image quality of the phone. It's a slight step up from the already amazing iPhone 5S. The iPhone 6 can shoot at 30 or 60 frames per second at 1080p, or it can shoot at 240 frames at 720p for super slow motion video. And here's a few samples of what those look like. They truly look remarkable. By the way, be sure to check out Jake and Carlos' channel down below. They're both really good friends of mine, and they both make awesome content. So go and subscribe to them and tell them that I sent you. So to conclude, the new iPhone 6 offers a great overall experience from head to toe. Great camera, great screen, great overall battery life, great operating system. It truly is one of the best smartphones. It wouldn't be fair to say that it's the absolute best in the world, because there's so many great phones in the world. And no, I'm not a fanboy. I appreciate all great technology from any manufacturer. But it is safe to say that this phone is a great phone for those who love Apple's ecosystem and who are already invested in their ecosystem. The big iPhone you've always wanted is now here, and I truly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching and being patient with my philosophy of quality over quantity. So again, thank you. And be sure to hit that like button if you love all smartphones in general. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.